Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake. Myself, Jake Storielli, David Mendelson. We're talking ball as always, and there's a lot of ball to be talked. Baseball, our Yankees are hot in the streets. We'll talk about some of the premier teams premiering out a little bit. And then sports apocalypse. I don't know if we're still labeling it that way. NBA playoffs roll on. The Knicks are eliminated. I know because I was there. I'll talk about that. I also had a huge bender of a weekend/extended weekend, including a wellness retreat that I was worried about my wellness. Saturday Night Live, pretty cool story. Excited to share with you. Excited to share with Beebs because I've been waiting for this episode to get all of it out there. And Edwards. So there's everything. The golf was good. Good for you, Xander. I think it'll be a lot. We'll do some baseball off the rip. Definitely some hoops. I'll mention the Rangers briefly and just say, let's go Rangers, and that'll probably be the hockey part of it. And then I'll walk you through Jakey weekend bender. I think where I want to start with baseball, somewhere near and dear to me and Beebs, is those New York Yankees. They're 33-15. 688 win percentage. Nice stat. Nobody really uses that. I think unless a team's 700, I think that's the baseball.
700 over a stretch is
that's the killing it in baseball. That's like the, wow, this team is really good. And there's only one team in baseball that have that, the Phillies. Philadelphia Phillies are 34-14. The Yankees, the hype is more than ever than it has been since 2017, which is a big year for us because that's when the company started. Talkin Yanks was the beginning, and that was the upstart fun Yankees. It was the emergence of Aaron Judge. It was a punchy, fun, young Yankees team. Gary Sanchez, Greg Bird. I don't know. It felt like a new era of Yankees baseball, and it has been. Unfortunately, the Yankees get measured one way. Rings. And they haven't done that. 2017, a lot of people know what happened that year. Hey, I get mad about it sometimes. Kind of nuts they went 7 games with the Astros who were cheating.
Yeah. Won the home games.
It's kind of nuts. Yeah. Oh, okay, and now I'm frustrated again. 2019. The Yankees were good. We were feeling pretty good in Yankee land. They lost to the bad men at that time. And Altuve got Chapman again. And it was just like, damn. And Houston's been a powerhouse. And I've done a lot of conversations on this show about Houston. Oh, they need to figure it out. Otherwise, they're going to be out of this season and looking up previous years and how bad teams have started. Houston has bounced back pretty good, and they are lurking. They're 21-26. They're 4 games back in the West. Houston Astros are going to be a part of this season. They're hitting like nuts. Kyle Tucker's insane. Has an argument to probably be like a top 5 player in baseball, but he's just kind of unsexy sometimes. He's leading the league in home runs. He's got 3 WAR, 7-0 in stolen bases. Has won a Golden Glove before. I know the metrics fell out of love with him. I don't know. Houston, let me know where you're at with Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker's defense. I laughed looking at the wild card standings today because basically everyone's still in it because the expanded wild card. The New York Yankees, they got off to a 40-15 start in 2022. There were questions around the team. The shortstop position, there's a couple top prospects coming up, but they kind of had IKF as a stopgap. Their words, not ours, right?
Yeah, they said that.
Boy, did the Yankees Nation did not like the phrase stopgap. That's not Yankees baseball.
And the Yankees acted like stopgap doesn't inherently mean if the prospect's ready, you can play them instead.
Right.
We're waiting on that. We're waiting on Hicksy to get going, waiting on Donaldson to get going. Like, that team was a lot of just Judge.
It was a lot of Judge and Rizzo early
Stanton
on
first half.
that felt a little bit. And Stanton. Like, Judge, Rizzo, Stanton, you think of those players' peaks, and if they were doing that, like Rizzo looked like he was on pace to break his home run record in a season that year. Hasn't he had 33?
I think
three
he
times or
matched
something.
it.
I think he landed on it again that year. But he got out of the gates hot. Judge literally broke the AL home run record. Thank you. And Stanton had a great first half, All-Star Game MVP. And there were fun things around the team. And if you listen to Talkin Yanks, me and Jim almost got into a bicker about it. Because, I believe the Yankees could win the World Series. The quote that Jimmy really liked for me was it's Houston and the Yankees this year. And it was. The Yankees got swept by Houston. And their lineup was beat up by the time they got to the playoffs. They had one of the worst Augusts ever in team history. Injuries, poor play, just TFA, things fall apart. That by the time they got to Houston, it was, we're going to get steamrolled, and they did. But, I do think in that May and June, I believe they would win the World Series. I ended up laughing before the or midway through 2023 when the Yankee season was on edge. I think I had the realization on here where I was like, how crazy is it that I don't have a bet on the Yankees to win the World Series? Yeah. We're pretty deep with DraftKings.
It's really easy for us to just place that bet. This year I have.
This year I have, before the season. They added Juan Soto. They revamped the pitching. The pitching, Trevor Plouffe leaned into and said that's the biggest difference. Yes, the Yankees got pitching at times, and their bullpen's been good. That the offense, having Juan Soto and Judge going off at the same time, I think that Yankee fans seeing that for the first time was kind of like, wow, this is a real team. That Yankee fans, I think, are most excited about this Yankees team since the timeline of Talkin Yanks in our company. I think a little bit of that is because Houston isn't currently Houston. Now, if they make the dance and they're there, they're going to be Houston again. They're Houston till they're not. 7 straight. I was going to say Eastern Conference Finals. Championship Series. Excuse me. Basketball in the mind. I'm excited to see. Right now your American League favorites are kind of the Yankees by a chunk, and then the Orioles, who the Orioles are similarly talented. It's just very young. And as we'll talk about with Youth in Sports coming up at 8 p.m. But we'll talk about it when we talk OKC Thunder basketball a little bit. Experience matters. And the Yankees are doing this without Garrett Cole, who's now throwing 2 sim innings. Jason Dominguez is supposed to come back for them. And I think the other thing is not too many guys are playing above their skis right now. A lot of guys are playing to the baseball card. The product feels good. Offensively, second in on base and OPS, first in home runs, Bronx Bombers. Although the Orioles and them are going back and forth. We're tracking daily homers, so that's pretty cool for the Orioles. And Gunnar Henderson, who is tied with Kyle Tucker, and he probably has as much of an argument to be the top 5 player as Kyle Tucker as a shortstop doing what he's doing. Back to the Yanks. First in home runs, second in OPS, second in on-base percentage, third in starting pitching ERA. Luis Gil is a breakout star for them, and the stuff matches it. It's not a... who was that pitcher? Aaron Small? Is he 9-0 with the Yanks? And everyone is like, hey, this won't happen. This will end. No, Luis Gil passes the eye test in a big way, and I think the conversation this season with him has been funny as it went from, hey, he's probably not going to break camp with the team, to he's breaking camp and he's making the rotation, to, hey, he looks pretty good, maybe we'll kick him to the bullpen at the end of the year, to, now it's like, wait, this guy might be future core of the team. because his stuff has been that good. He has been dominant. That the Yankees have depth, they're getting, and they can do more if they want. Glaber hasn't really gone. He's had a couple good games. But I think the Yankees are positioned as well as they have been during the life cycle of this company to compete. With that, on top of the National League, the Phillies are nuts, and we've acknowledged it a little bit, but not fully. And this is where I think my Houston argument, not lurking right now in the American League, stands up. No one's getting crazy hyped about Philly because the Dodgers exist, and so do the Braves. Like, the Braves haven't been the best version of themselves, and they're still winning a ton of games. How funny would it be if the Phillies win the East this year, the Braves win the wild card, Braves knock them out of the playoffs? Would that just be would that be the regular season system is broken? I don't know. And we've got a long way of ball before we get there. It is funny to see the Braves are 5 games back as we record this right now. I think they're giving the Padres a whooping, so that could be 4.5 in a minute, and that could be 4 in an hour by the end of the night because they're playing a doubleheader. The Braves are still really good, and the Dodgers are still really good. That for these teams, I mean, Philly is on their level and has been on their level. This is a team that went to the World Series. They went to Game 7 in the NLCS. Snakes, baby. That in the National League, and it was just a reminder because we've done this the past couple years now, the National League is kind of stacked, man. The Phillies are like the Phillies are a perfect sports team, man. Like when you watch an old 30 for 30 or sports documentary, and they're like, you remember this team? Like, the Phillies are going to be an awesome one of those. Like Harper, Schwartz, the star power, what their pitching is doing. They're first in starting pitching ERA and whip. Ranger Suarez, Nola, Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez. What Spencer Turnbull had done before getting kicked out of the rotation by Taijuan Walker. They're doing it without Trey Turner right now. And they are above that 700 win percentage in baseball. And people have yelled at us about their schedule, saying that's why they're playing so well. I don't know. Coming up, they're hosting Texas for 3, and then they're at Colorado and San Francisco. So the way the Phillies are playing, they're favorites throughout that, and maybe going the rest of the way. They're going to be fun to track the rest of this season. Something about Harper and Soto's intensities, they matter. We were trying to quantify it on Talkin Yanks a little bit, talking about the Soto effect and just the team caring more. I think when you have superstars that lead by example, Juan Soto, there's video of him coming in early, taking BP on the field, working on his swing. Like, I just think there's a tone. Bryce Harper, the intensity he plays with day in, day out, that you feel throughout an organization. And the fact that those guys are really good at baseball also helps your team be good. A little analytics there at the end. So, yeah, I think for baseball, I don't want to say light today, but I don't know. I also just had the realization that all these teams around 500, like, it just is what it is right now. A couple of these teams are going to hover around 500 the whole time. Like, we're going to get to the trade deadline, July 31st, I think we looked up. Like Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, 2 of the 3 of those teams are going to be around 500 come the trade deadline.
July 30th this year.
Okay. One of the NL Central teams, I believe, will be around 500 and in the mix. Twins, probably 500 on the nose. They might be this year's barometer team. I mean, the AL East, where do you think the Rays, Red Sox, Jays are going to be around? Like, we kind of already watched this. The AL West, I don't really know how it sorts out. Mariners are still on top. I don't believe in them just because their offense hasn't gone. And they feel like the same Mariners team that did finish 3rd in the West last year. The Rangers feels like it hasn't clicked yet, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe a little World Series hangover. I think I have a couple clips of that coming into the year. Just the middle of their lineup. Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford. I don't know. Those guys are young and super talented, but it's really hard to be young and really good at baseball. Seager's tracking a little behind last year. A lot behind last year. Not that anyone's doubting him, but those are the things that go into having type of season and run they had. And now the Houston Astros, they're only 4 games out. They're going to be around. So get ready for that. And if there's any Astros fans, was there a little bit of me that was looking, I don't want to say looking to bury them. I guess just curious with how bad of a start it was and some of the numbers from their pitching. The fact that the Mariners or the Rangers didn't get out to a Guardians-type start or Phillies or anything like that is massive for them. And the expanded wild card. Again, there's a baseball purist part of it that's like, regular season, winning the pennant used to be such a thing. Like regular season pennant. Just meet you up in the World Series. Expanded playoffs, everyone's in it, which is, I think if we're being honest, it's great for the game. Because you've got fan bases that are going to stay in it through the whole season. So here I am. Maybe we're just a Rob Manfred company. Pitch clock, expanded playoffs.
Give me all of it.
Thanks, Uncle Rob. That's the baseball. You know what? I'll do some Jakey stuff because I want to get it off my chest, and it'll lead into the NBA action. Pretty crazy couple days. I don't want to say I'm a bender guy. That depicts me in a bad light. But I don't know. If I'm going, I'm going. Like 0 or 100. Although I think Drake lyrics are out. So we went away for a couple days at the end of last week. We went to like a wellness retreat in upstate New York. Okay, cool. Nice. There's like a farm. There's animals. Like the whole idea was to be relaxing, and it was super relaxing. Great. Only problem. I shouldn't say only problem. Where were we? We were outside of Albany. Albany. How do you say that?
Albany.
Albany, capital of New York. And there's a town, Troy, up there. I think it's like a college town. Rensselaer is up there. I don't know. It's kind of like a college town. Like there's parts that you're like, but there's parts that you're like, oh, okay, I get it. This is how people do things up here. And our little retreat place had a little fire pit. So Jess is calling it early. I'm like, I'm a little bit of a night owl. Someone called me a gremlin the other day. I'm going to watch the sports when they're on. It's just like goes through me. It's welcome to Talkin Jake. The Rangers were playing. So I was going to watch them. Set that up on the phone. Boom. Watching the hoops throughout. And there was a personal fire pit. So, we went out to dinner, had a couple margies, get back, calling it. I set up a fire, almost went out. I almost quit on it. And then it kicked into gear. Had to use some guerrilla warfare. I was getting some paper towels and filling them with wood chips. And I was feeding the base of the fire with that. That kind of saved it. You don't care. Maybe you do. I bought a couple beers at a store down the road because I was like, I'll be here a couple days. Maybe I'll have a couple beers. I got IPAs because I was like, hey, it's not like I'm going to be chugging a 30 rack of Bud Light or something. So I got 6 IPAs. Sure.
Not about turning in a big quantity.
No. So went out to dinner, couple marks, go to the fireplace, almost gave up on it. Did not, won the war, nice fire going. Rangers have the third period comeback. That's like legendary. Like, again, not the biggest hockey guy in the world, but Kreider's going down in like Rangers lore, and are they the favorites to win the cup right now? Like actual money line favorites? I'd have to assume so.
I'll look at what some odds say.
Panthers, whatever's going out on the West Coast. But the Rangers have a very legitimate shot to win Lord Stanley's Cup. And we've been feeding off that. We do bandwagon blue shirts. What do you got?
There you have the third best odds out of currently 5 teams remaining.
Who's ahead of them?
Florida and Dallas.
Wow, okay.
And the 2 teams behind them are the 2 teams that are, I think, fighting for the last of the final 4 spots.
I mean, Florida and the Rangers have to be close, no?
It's all pretty close. They're all basically the same. Florida's plus 200, Rangers plus 360.
Okay,
but
so that's a little more.
It's
of
a difference, but
a little more of a gap than I thought. Okay, but whatever. I'm watching that Rangers game. It looks like it's going to be a sad loss, and then there's going to be like a nervous Game 7 in Rangers land. Like you might blow a 3-0 lead. I jokingly put a tweet out there that was like, should the Rangers punt Game 4? And all the people that don't know were like eating that alive. That I was kind of like, hey, I hope this goes away. And it does with a magical third period by the Rangers. I didn't realize the IPAs I bought. I just buy the beers that have the pretty cases, basically. They were 10%ers, so I had a couple of those watching the game. I'm pretty tuned up watching bandwagon blue shirts. So that ends my wellness retreat, which, again, probably not my best wellness effort there. Come back on Friday, drive back into the city, city traffic, all that. Call it, watch some Yanks, whatever. Saturday's a big day. Saturday's a big day because it's Saturday night. I've shouted him out like 3 times now, so I'm starting to feel weird about it. But Michael Longfellow, who's on the Saturday Night Live cast, me and him linked up over social media, originally over the pic of me wearing the half Yankees, half Diamondbacks jersey. I posted their second series of the year, just because I am a very big Yankees fan. And I've built a burgeoning relationship with the Diamondbacks basically through social media, and they've been awesome to me. They're an awesomely run franchise. I posted that. Yankee fans furious or get it. They see a Yankee fan wearing a half Diamondback. Do you not remember 2001, dude? Yeah, I do. How's the rivalry been since? Like, what are you killing?
It's not a forever rivalry just because you guys played once.
You killing snakes in your room every night just because of that damn 2001 series? Anyways, I would say the Diamondbacks have been really nice to me, so I appreciate that. And there's almost should be zero animosity between those 2 franchises. Anyways, Michael Longfellow, baseball fan. We DM'd a couple times. He followed. And yeah, we kind of left it at like, because, when you're doing a bromance, it gets tougher as the years go on. That, both of us, you don't want to come on too strong. That I had hit him with a, last weekend was the last episode of SNL for this year. And so when we had been talking, I told him, I was like, hey, dude, if you ever want to link up and have a drink, or if you ever want to, if you'd want to do some like baseball content, I don't know how far into baseball you currently are. I don't want to put you in a bad spot. And he was like, it was actually a pretty cool line. He was like, dude, like I'd love to do some baseball content at some point, because he's like, this might sound obnoxious, but like I enjoy being in front of a camera. This is my job. It's like, okay, that's interesting. And like that's what we always tell when we talk to agents about their players coming through the office. We're like, bring the guys that want to do that stuff. Don't just give us a star that's going to be miserable. Like Kershaw doesn't want to do this. So give us someone who does. Anyways, and I was like, you know what? We'll link up after the season, the SNL season, because he's like, yeah, my summer clears up a ton because there's no SNL, so I do some stand-up stuff, but otherwise, like, I kind of chill and recover. And I was like, okay, perfect.
That's a night thing anyway, for the most part.
Yeah, I was like, well, yeah, and so that was kind of the good bro code of like, we've established something here, we've kind of pushed off the next steps. Let's see what buildup happens in between. Unfortunately, Sabrina Carpenter is the musical guest on the last SNL. Jess is very into Sabrina Carpenter right now, like the rest of America. She is a pop star. She knew about my burgeoning friendship, and she said, You're looking into this. I said, okay, I can do that. I think I sent a borderline lewd message about something I'd be willing to do to get tickets. I'll let you fill in the blanks there. He laughed at it, so that was good. And he's like, hey, I can't get you tickets to the show, but if you want to hang out backstage in the dressing room, like I've heard that's a decent time. And for the musical performances, you can come out and like watch the musical performances. So for, again, the Sabrina Carpenter card that I was playing, that was perfect. So I was like, yes, dude. Like, are you kidding me? Yes. If that's on the table, like 10,000% yes. Backstage at SNL and get to see the Sabrina Carpenter concert, that's like...
Get to, like, properly watch the musical act. That's the impetus for the whole thing.
Win. So, okay. Yeah, awesome. So we got this on the calendar. We're excited. So we get, like, I give him I was like, hey, what do I do? You know? I don't have a ticket. Am I just walking up to the gate and being like, hey, is my name on a list? Like, what? You know. Yeah. Show him the DMs, you know.
Longfellow said come in.
He asked for some emails. We got, like, a actual thing from NBC that was like, hey, come check in at this desk. We'll bring you up there, blah, blah, blah. And little plot twist in development. I grew up on SNL and sports. That's kind of it. You know, SNL pretty legendary for, like, after parties. And me and Michael had talked a little bit about post SNL activities. He's got a little bit of a video gamer side to him, baseball guy. And he's not like the biggest party scene guy, from what I know. This is still early. So I was curious. I was like, hey, I wonder, you know, are we like going to go out after the show? Saturday Night Live. When our passes came over, it was like, hey, you're welcome as a guest and to the after party. It was like, oh, shit. That's nuts that we're invited to this. This is insane. So, all right, we get excited. It's going to be a night. Buckle up. So we get there, check in. So this one is for Biebs. So we check in. We're standing around. We're told to get there before 11 p.m. And
I always forget how late that is.
Right. It's like an actual, and they do like
Saturday
a pre-show. Night. So I, you know, coming up before this email, didn't know anything. And it was basically, is like, get there, make sure you're no later than 11 p.m. Okay. To be safe, I don't know, you're getting older and you play things safer as the years go. I was like, let's get there like 10:15, I guess. Because also just don't want to be there like lingering too long. So that felt like a
be in the area.
Felt like a buffer time. Like even if things go perfectly, like you can still make that a fine amount of time. If there's any hiccups, you're covered. Turns out that was more of a like get there for 11 p.m. So we like checked in and they were like, yeah, hang out for a little bit. So whatever. So there's people are checking in who are other people's guests, and you've got friends and family, whatever. You know, you're guessing whose crew is with who. Me and Jess have no connections there. I didn't say hi. One of the first people that also got there early and had the same thought process, Tim Heidecker.
Oh.
Tim and Eric, some I think you should leave. He's definitely lost a lot of weight recently. That at first, I was looking at him and I was like, that's a familiar looking guy. I couldn't put it together.
Enough weight off that it is like he looks different.
Yeah. And then and again, I don't know. And then I I heard him introduce himself as Tim, and then I did like the phone Google search to double check, and it was. He was talking to a crew, so I didn't want to jump in and do the whole thing. I half regret it. There's definitely a couple opportunities. I think he's filming something with someone on the SNL cast, so he was like their guest. So that's pretty cool. So again, like anticipation building, and like, all right, that's pretty cool that like he's gonna be backstage, I guess. Again, didn't go for it. He was there with a crew, another person or two that looked half familiar that I was just like, I'm not going to do the whole thing right now. I'm kind of not dialed up for it. Nervous for a long night. When I'm not in my element, I think a lot of people know I operate at 100%. When I'm not in my element or I'm in a new place, I come in foot on the brake. Just because I don't like overstepping, whatever. So it takes a minute. So we're hanging out in like the lobby, not doing anything for 45 minutes, which gets a little anxious before what you're hoping is a cool night. Get escorted up. And then, yeah, it was kind of funny. Jess called them dorm rooms, and it basically felt like that. Because Michael shares his back room. Is that what you call it? With Marcelo Hernandez, who's been one of the more popular SNL guys the past couple years. Devin Walker. So it's like the three of them share that room. Which, again, I don't know during the week how much the three of them are in there. I don't know if that's mostly Saturday night or whatever. But this was the last show of the year, so they all invited guests. So in the not a big room, there was a crowd. Marcelo, I think, had 4 people there. I think Michael had 4 people, including me and Jess, who never met him.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, I don't know, we're tiptoeing a little bit.
Really feels like intruding.
I'm tiptoeing, yes. Like it was his parents, his girlfriend, his brother. So yeah, he had like 6 people there. And yeah, these are all people that haven't met before, really. So now we're in a room during the show. They're kind of coming in and out. I met Michael mid-show because he was in the first skit. So when we get checked in, so meet Marcelo instantly. I gave him like a, dude, yeah, a friend of Michael's. I do baseball stuff. He's like, oh, I think I met you once. And I didn't want to do a weird, like, we haven't. And I decided to go for it because some people online say we have doppelganger looks. We both have young faces, kind of tan skin, similar hair stuff going on, short. And he's like, oh, I think I've seen you before. And I hit him with, I was like, yeah, I think I'm like your brother from Connecticut. And he kind of like eyeballed me, clearly not the reaction he expected. And he was like, okay. And then he kind of kept it moving. Like he was working, like he had a show he was about to do. So I was like, okay. That was kind of my first try to step. Didn't go perfectly. Gonna reel it back a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there's similar energies there, right? Yeah. Just young, handsome.
I can see how someone would have made that joke to either of you before.
Yeah. So again, would have liked to have been a little more established before I went for that. Whatever. So the show's going on, and they've got a bunch of like drinks back there, but I'm a little nervous. I'm buckled up for an SNL like after party that I wait like everyone. I was like offered a drink. I was like, no, I'm good. Kind of soft in hindsight, but eventually show starts rolling. Make myself one. Everyone's yucking it up back there. Again, we're not like fully appreciating the show. Like it's just on the TV. Like we're just watching it on the TV, and the TV kind of had a weird echo, so it wasn't like a great watch from the room. So it's time for Sabrina to go on. There's like a huge line that gets like ready to go out there and scramble. They said they like don't always do it. It kind of depends who's performing. And they knew Sabrina's such a star right now that they were like gonna have to do it. So they start doing a like, hey, we might cut the line off here, literally right where we are. There was a doorway that was the host room. So we were in the dorms with like a lot of the younger cast. Below were some of the like cast that's been there for a while. They kind of had like
the guys that if you in the audience are asked who's on SNL, the first names you would list.
The Kapua Suite. You know, I don't want to blow up anyone's spots, but yeah. And I walked past the room that John Hamm was in, and I was like, okay, John Hamm's here. That's cool. And like the host is down there, whatever. So there was a door that they point to, and they were like, oh, that's actually the host's room. And we were like blocking it. So we're like, hey, let's keep that open just in case anyone's doing anything. One of the people working there comes out and was like, hey, we're going to stop the line here. Why don't you guys come out for the second song? We'll make sure you get you out there. And me and Jess had just stepped on the wrong side of the door. So I go full Valor mode, fallen soldier. I was like, hey, I'll not go. Take her.
She's got to see it.
How quick I was to throw myself on the sword. The person working appreciated it and was like, okay, I guess if you're willing to do that, she can go. And then I kind of turned around. A couple of us turned around. There was another group past us that they knew the page, and she was like, oh, my God. And so they got to go. So, like, definitely could have gone, but I was just like, hey, I'm good.
Got her in.
Came here to get her there. Bang, winner. Pretty good performance. Rest of the show goes on. And, again, it's kind of a weird night. It's the final show of the season. So, you know, show ends. You know, people are giving each other dap-ups and good year. There's like a shot and, you know, oh, we need to take a picture. All that stuff is going on. And, you know, I'm starting to get in a little more comfortable rhythm at this point. Me and Michael chatted a chunk because I didn't know. Again, he's got family there. His girlfriend's there. It's the last show of the year. So I didn't know if he was just going to be like, hey, man, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, enjoy yourself. No, he like wanted to talk. He wanted to talk ball. He wanted to talk life and stuff, which is some of my favorite stuff to do. So we did that for a little bit. And then it was time to head to the after party, which there's a little extra juice because it was the final episode of the season. So they held it like outside. What's that like? They set up the ice rink there. It was like right there.
Rockefeller Center?
Yeah. Rockefeller Center, they like blocked it off and they had a big party out there and all the SNL crew was there. Again, a couple celebrities, Sabrina Carpenter and her crew. Barry Keoghan, who she's dating. How do you say his name? The guy from Saltburn. John Hamm. Like I saw Lorne Michaels. One of the first times I got like straight up nervous. Like so nervous, like don't walk around and trip on something nervous. I don't know. Lorne Michaels, excuse me. Big presence to him. Especially that's the home that he kind of like built. So yeah, had a couple good exchanges. I saw Keenan. Jess snapped a picture. I hit him with a good line of just like, hey dude, thanks for all the laughs over the years. And he's like, I appreciate that, man. I think I delivered that line well. On the counter side of that, Barry Keoghan, Keogh? I don't know. Loved him in Saltburn. I always overthink it just a step too far. And I hit him with, I was like, hey, probably haven't heard this before, but loved you in Saltburn and representing the Short Kings. And he was kind of like, oh, thanks, man. Again, I'm not trying to blow up their spot. But, you know, he's dating Sabrina. Sabrina had like a crazy crowd around her that it was definitely, he had young guy with a girlfriend out energy that he was kind of like, I don't want to be too much in. She's doing her thing with her crew.
Not trying to be in the way.
But I'm also like here. I don't know.
I'm here with you.
Just kind of funny. At one point, because there was like music and a DJ and stuff going on. At one point, it's me, Jess, Sabrina, and Barry. Everyone's just dancing and having a good time. That was kind of cool, kind of nuts. I got a picture of John Hamm behind Jess, which was half intentional, half not intentional, but the pic came out pretty silly. But yeah, I don't know. It was just one of those like wild nights. There it is. We got it up on the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribers have been cranking through the roof these days. This all leads to Sunday night, New York Knicks, Game 7. So, on Friday, when the Knicks, were the Knicks Thursday or Friday?
They played Friday.
Friday. They lose to the Pacers in Indiana. Everyone kind of expected it. Well, I kind of saw this life bender coming up. I was like, Game 7 at the Garden. Like, that's always been a dream. And I thought they could win. Like, Brunson and kind of anyone, I think, could win a Game 7 in the Garden. But I was just like, this is kind of a bucket list. It's seeming like it's a bucket list weekend. And I bought the tickets mid-game when it was clearly apparent the Knicks were going to lose. And an old Jake story, we did that once that it looked like UConn was going to advance to the Elite Eight, and me and my buddies bought tickets mid-game, like we took a chance on it. And the tickets doubled in price once UConn made it, because UConn playing at the Garden. Then I was like, oh, like this Game 7 wasn't guaranteed. If I buy the ticket now, like it'll probably go up in value that if I can't make the game, because we were going to do Talkin Yanks and stuff, I was like, I'll just resell it and probably make a profit. Businessman. Did not work. Not a successful business. The prices of the tickets went down. That my decision then either turned into go to the Knicks game, paid a decent penny for it, for kind of bad seats, that under the Skyview area, that's pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
The Skyview, you mentioned it before, kind of nice.
The bridge is sneaky nice.
Skybridge sneaky
You're
nice.
right on top, but
no one in
like
front of you.
there.
You could see this. I floated around up there a little bit just because I was so anxious. A little bit of Game 7, a little bit of hangover. I was like, okay, well, I don't want to just lose $150 for no reason, so I guess I'll go to a Game 7 in the Garden. That was the whole intention. The Knicks roster that ended up on the court, it was a different Knicks team than the one that had hope this season. Obviously, Julius Randle has been out, and we've known that, and that's okay. OG Anunoby was kind of the big story before the game. When he originally got hurt, it was like, okay, like he's got a chance for Game 7. Comes to Game 7, he's starting. Sounds like they're feeling good about it. He comes out for 5 minutes. He makes the 2 shots he took, which that got people excited. And his intro was sick because the crowd was like, New York loves someone gritting it out to play in a game. The first couple sets on offense, he was like barely moving. And they attacked him on defense, and he didn't have too much. So it's like, okay, OG probably not going to have it. Brunson, they were going to need him to be insane. And he was okay. He wasn't insane, and then he breaks his hand. Whoops. Hartenstein, I think, got hurt.
Yeah, and just wasn't his best game.
Right.
However hurt he was or wasn't.
Right. Who knows where the line is? Josh Hart is super banged up coming into the game. Like, if this was a regular season basketball game, how many of these guys aren't playing?
Yeah,
almost all of them.
Brunson came into the game hurt with a foot thing.
So
I'm sure would have missed a week under normal circumstances.
I think the Knicks lineup, as I was walking out the building, DiVincenzo, who again is amazing, a 39-point Game 7, 9 of 15 from 3. So interested to see what the next few years of his career are like, because he's been like incredible.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's some cool midseason interview stuff of talking about like how much he learned from Steph the year he was a Warrior.
But coming into the season,
cool.
Dante DiVincenzo was what man on the Knicks roster?
Because of the new contract, I think you would have said 6, but coming off the bench, either way.
Yeah, and I guess that's before they traded for OG, so that'd be another wrinkle. But either way.
Him or quickly 6'7" was the plan.
They pull out Hart because he was clearly banged up and deserved the applause he got. So it's DiVincenzo, Achua, Miles McBride, Deuce, who was missing from parts of games. He had 1 or 2 good ones, but I don't know.
Sixer series, he was good, and then he was missing in the first 4-ish games of this series. Great in Game 5.
0 of 6 from 3. Alec Burke, who came in and played kind of incredible and kept the Knicks alive and was hilarious, got a couple MVP chants. Precious Achua, who offensively had people in the stands yelling bad things at him because his offensive game wasn't for the court.
If he's not gobbling offensive boards, he's not providing much on the offensive end.
That it was seeing that lineup lose to a deep Pacers team, a Pacers team that legitimately, goes 8 men deep. Some nights they go further than that, but, Obi Toppin gets real run with them, and in his 15 minutes, he's either going to go 3 of 5 from the field and make an impact, or he's going to go 1 of 4 and kind of not be there. TJ McConnell is entering all-world pest levels. It's insane. And, yeah, they just made every shot. Like, it was kind of nuts. I was juiced up for Game 7, like, wow, this is going to be an all-time experience. And the first thing that blew me away was every Knicks bucket early on, the crowd went nuts. Every time the Pacers got a bucket, the crowd was so deflated. And I was like, wait, are we really going to do this for the whole game? Because, like, literally, first couple buckets of the game, Pacers would make the shot, and the crowd was like, oh. I was like, Pacers are guaranteed to get 80. They basically got that in the first half. They did not miss. Again, I think they're the deeper team, especially at this current juncture of the season. And they were there's something to playing free and loose. Like, if you're a sports fan, you obviously know that. But hitting their first couple shots and knowing they were deeper, and I think watching OG get hurt and having the lead, seeing all of their confidence just tick up, that the plays where you might get stops, like when you get Miles Turner to pull up for a floater in the lane on a pick and roll, he's going to make that a chunk of times. He's going to miss that a chunk of times. And in a Game 7, you're just hoping he misses that. Just clean and easy. Him, Siakam, and their role players, man. Nesmith went 8 of 8 from the field. Nembhard, 8 of 10 from the field. Everyone shot the lights out, man. Isaiah Jackson, 3 of 3. McConnell, 6 of 8. Like, they shot 67% as a team. That would have been interesting to see if a different Knicks roster had survived. But good on the Pacers. They're going to take on the Celtics. Celtics are massive favorites. To the point Simmons and Russillo were doing a little bit of like, are the Pacers one of the worst teams to ever reach a conference finals? Little rude. The Pacers season this year has been funky. Halliburton getting hurt changed a lot of how they were respected throughout the year. Halliburton looks like he's back, man. 10 of 17, 6 of 12 from 3, playing with a swagger to him. I think you can look at the Pacers through 2 scopes. You can look at their roster and be like, God, even if you like Halliburton, Siakam, Miles Turner, like, for that being their quote-unquote big 3, a lot of guys that cannot get you excited. Siakam plays weird. Just a fact.
He has been a core member of a championship team before. Like, he was awesome on that Raptors team.
Turner's got an offensive gear to him and defensive. Like, all of these guys. And I think the other thing that I'd want to give credit when credit's due there, I did this a little bit. Their head coach, Carlisle, man, he's got quite a track record. That they had a game plan to beat the Knicks, and it was be deeper and pressure them full court the whole series, and it paid off. That I'll be interested to see if they give the Celtics a fight. I would go Celtics in 6. I'm near impossible to pick against the Celtics, but I think with Carlisle, the Celtics, I don't want to say ability to lose a game, but it's kind of become a thing. Like the Game 2 Celtics has become a thing. It seems like the team has a little bit of taking their foot off the gas pedal sometimes. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. And maybe that's because they're so good. I mean, they're the best team in the East. And I think they're currently your NBA favorites to win it all with the Nuggets going down. Because that that was the premier game last night. Denver holds Minnesota to 19 points in the first 2 quarters. It's in Denver, a city that's like, it's a feared competitive city because of the altitude. And like Game 7, like how you might have someone who literally loses their breath in the big game, which that would be a tough moment. They are down, 53-38 at the half. The T-Wolves weren't looking so pretty. Denver, and I think everyone kind of was mentally doing the the heart of a champion stuff. Like, this is Joker, this is Murray, this is Game 7 in Denver. This is why these are the guys. And the Timberwolves found it, man. Ant Edwards with not the prettiest box score you'll see, but had some moments late. 16, 7, and 8. Karl Anthony Towns, 8 of 14 from the field. 12 rebounds. Gobert with one of the ugliest, prettiest fadeaway shots at a crucial time. And I thought Jaden McDaniels getting involved offensively, 23 points out of him. And, the point where I really came to the edge of my seat, I think T-Wolves were getting it going to start the half. Like, we're going to fight. You're not running away with this. Ant drives in, and you kind of wondered if he was going to take, I'm the star player shot. Like, this is kind of, I've got some momentum. Hopefully I get fouled or just make a nice bucket. He kicked out to McDaniels in the corner, and he banged it. And the T-Wolves just got rolling from there. They held Denver to 14 points in the third. Kind of a no-show for Michael Porter Jr. Kind of a no-show from anyone who wasn't Murray or Joker. Murray had 35. Nikola had 34. Your next leading scorer, Michael Porter Jr. with 7. Michael Porter Jr. might be a guy whose name you hear on the trade block a little bit. I think the other thing, Aaron Gordon had some massive games in this series. He was not really present in this one. And I think Denver got a little thinner than people thought. I mean, I know it's a Game 7 that you're going to play your guys, but Christian Brown plays 20 minutes off the bench. They get 5 from Reggie Jackson, 9 from Holiday. Bruce Brown was a huge impact player on the Nuggets last year. Feels like if he's a part of this game, could it have gone differently? I don't know, but it's an exciting time. T-Wolves, Mavericks in the West as the Mavs took down OKC. OKC, I mean, youth, which I said I was going to circle back on. I think that kind of came to the forefront, and the thing that turned my head was when they lost, I want to say it was Game 3, and I pointed it out on here. The box score looked like a good OKC box score. And I think in the postseason where NBA wins, if you have more stars, if you have more Jimmy and Joes, it's kind of going to play out. And the Mavericks, between Kyrie being outstanding, I mean, Luka was good, not great, but PJ Washington stepping up and hitting every shot. That was just insane. Gafford's role on that team, that now they have a really strong 5 that they can throw at you. It doesn't get much better. You got 2, I mentioned watching 30 for 30s or a sport documentary. Luka thinks he's next. And there was a time when everyone assumed Luka would be next. And that could still happen. Recently, everyone's like Anthony Edwards is next. And that can still happen. I mean, you've got 2 guys in the Western Conference Finals that think they are the next guy. Like, number 1 player on the planet. And they're going to tee it up. I mean, we might see a lot of this in the coming years. I know the NBA moves quick and player movement happens more than we think, but Luka versus Ant, these young guys trying to make their claim with kind of fun teams and different setups. The T-Wolves, that Gobert trade they got killed for. They've got the two bigs when the NBA kind of didn't think we did bigs anymore. They had that special defensive standout performance game, and then that went away a little bit. That I don't know. I mean, basketball, Celtics Pacers, a little tough. No one was really on the Celtics level, though. Like, remember, everyone was kind of hoping the Bucks figured it out. They've been gone for a while now. Knicks were down to their second unit. But out west, Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic fighting for the crown. I don't know if it's going to get much better than that. I think that's going to be a really fun series. If you're the Celtics, let's say the Celtics advance. Sorry, Indiana. Would you rather face the T-Wolves or Dallas? I don't know. Eileen, you'd rather see Dallas?
I was about to say, gun to my head, I think you'd say Dallas.
Some Kyrie stuff there.
A little less deep.
Luka's great. I think the T-Wolves are just more annoying to play because they have such length. Like, if I'm Tatum, do I want to see Jaden McDaniels all series? I don't know. We've got a lot of time to digest that. And I hope the scrappy Pacers give a little bit of a fight, who probably deserve a little bit more respect because Halliburton got hurt. That changed the whole team dynamic. They've added Siakam. They took the Lakers to the mid-season tournament finale. I don't know. Celtics are probably going to roll. That's just that. Hey, didn't even talk golf. Congrats, Xander. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. We will be back Wednesday. I'm not sure if we're... Let me see. I'll see if we come up with something special. Sorry, BBD, I'm missing the sign-off line.
I have it. Wake and Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.
See you guys soon.